Did you think blogging was going to be straightforward? Most people do. Over the last 8 years, I published over 10,000 blog posts and built a six-figure income working from home. But I've also watched the entire game change. What worked 2 years ago can actually hurt you right now. AI is rewriting the rules. Platforms are punishing things that used to work. And most of the advice that you would find online is completely outdated. So to help you avoid the mistakes that I made and the ones that I see bloggers making every single day, here are 25 brutal lessons I've learned from publishing over 10,000 blog posts. Lesson 1. I used to think site speed was just about keeping visitors happy. Load fast, people stay longer, maybe they buy something. But last year, I noticed something strange. Blogs with great content were getting buried, while faster sites with average content were showing up everywhere. The thing is, AI systems like ChatGPT and Google's AI overviews pay attention to how people behave on your site. If your site loads slowly and people bounce, AI learns that your site isn't trustworthy. It stops recommending you. Speed is not just a ranking factor anymore. It's how AI decides if you're worth showing you to anyone. So lesson number 1 is that your site speed isn't just about user experience anymore. It's how AI decides whether to trust you. So test your site on Google PageSpeed Insights today. If you're not scoring above 90 on mobile, that's your first priority. Before you write another post, fix your site speed. Lesson 2. I have seen many bloggers spending hours creating perfect AI-generated images for their posts. They even looked professional. Those bloggers thought that they were ahead of game, but not for too long. So I noticed that lots of threads in Facebook groups were from bloggers who complained that their Pinterest traffic was dropping, while others who had average phone photos were blowing up. And here is what's happening. AI images look too perfect. Platforms like Pinterest are labeling them. Mediavine and Raptive are penalizing blogs that use too much AI content. And readers are starting to recognize that polished look and they scroll past it. Your imperfect, obviously human photos are now a competitive advantage. So lesson 2 is stop using AI for your main images. Take real photos, even if they're not perfect. That authenticity is what platforms and readers trust now. Lesson 3. I noticed that many new blogs were growing their audiences very quickly through free Pinterest traffic, despite competing for broad keywords against more established bloggers. What it means is that Pinterest is very different from Google when it decides which pins to show in their feed and in search results on Pinterest. It doesn't care about your domain authority or the age of your website. There are other metrics that matter more, specifically user engagement, click-through rates on your pins, and how your pins meet user intent. So lesson 3 is Pinterest ignores domain authority. This means even brand new blogs can win. Instead of waiting until your Pinterest account becomes more established or gets a certain amount of followers before you try more competitive keywords, you can go ahead and try to rank for difficult keywords from the very beginning. Lesson 4. Users on Pinterest can now filter out AI-labeled images in their account settings. And because of this, even though stock images can seem very generic and not unique, it turns out that you're currently safer using stock photos than AI images in your pins. From here comes lesson 4. Stock photos are safer than AI images. And yes, you can use stock images whenever possible. They often can cost you more per image than generating something with AI, but at least they're not going to get a label as AI and they will not be filtered out on Pinterest. Lesson 5. Many of my top posts were still ranking high in Google, but traffic kept dropping. Turns out Google AI Overview was showing my answers directly in search results. So people got what they needed and never clicked through. When you write, "What is X?" or "How does X work?" type of content, You're basically writing Google's AI overviews for free. You do the research and you get barely any traffic in return. Our lesson 5 is that Google's AI overviews are getting your clicks before people visit. What you need to do is tweak your content so it doesn't fully satisfy the intent if shown in AI overviews. You should share more personal stories, opinions, comparisons, product reviews, anything where someone needs to see the full picture or trust a real human. Think of content ideas that would make people click, not just read a snippet on Google. Lesson 6. When I search for answers on Google AI Overview, on ChatGPT or Perplexity, I typically see that the sites they're sourcing from are not the same top 10 sites that Google ranks for the same keyword. Oftentimes, they're smaller sites that I've never heard of. It is obvious by now that the old SEO was all about ranking signals like backlinks, technical optimization, and domain authority. The new AI search analyzes different factors: how much you are cited by others, whether you are an expert on the topic, and this shift allows newer sites to compete in AI search results. Based on this, my lesson 6 is that writing for AI search is completely different than SEO. This means we need to build real-world authority. Get mentioned on podcasts, on YouTube, in other blogs and forums. Create a consistent voice and niche so AI tools learn to associate you with this topic. Lesson 7. In the past few years, because of AI advancements and how platforms like Google and Pinterest are trying to address the AI content flood issue, there have been several updates that wiped out about 70% of traffic for some bloggers. Lesson 7 is that one algorithm update can remove 70% of your income overnight. So we can never rely only on one traffic source. Instead, we need to constantly look for ways to diversify traffic sources. And from this lesson comes the next one, lesson 8. Because of the traffic fluctuations from both Google and Pinterest, bloggers cannot rely only on their display ad income and page views. We can't just keep chasing visitors who come once to the website and monetize them with ads and never see them again. The way bloggers can survive moving forward is through diversification of their monetization methods and through building funnels on top of their blogs. Lesson 8 is that the blogs making money right now are not chasing page views anymore. Instead of creating more and more content to get more page views, we now need to optimize what we already have. This should focus on two main areas. One is building a stronger and bigger email list, and two, creating your own products that you can sell to your returning audience. Lesson 9. Before I built my blog, anastasiablogger.com, which has been my active business for over 8 years now, I had at least 3 attempts to build a website, and none of them became an actual business. I've been in many memberships, Facebook groups for bloggers, and I've seen this pattern. It's not a unique thing that just happened to me. So lesson 9 is that most successful bloggers have several failed blogs behind them. So, of course, you should think through your blog idea and you should try to make your first blog work. But don't be surprised if you need a few attempts before you build a successful one. Lesson 10. Google, Pinterest, and Facebook can kill your traffic overnight because of algorithm updates. After going through some of these updates over the years, I realized that the only thing that I can rely on is my email list, because that is the only thing that I actually own. Lesson 10 is that your email list is the only traffic that you own. And when you start a blog, even if it feels like no one is reading and you have a very small audience, you should immediately start building your email list and those email forms and lead magnets that make people sign up for your list. Lesson 11. Websites that were ignoring boring privacy laws eventually faced massive fines and legal headaches for tracking users without permission. In the past few years, GDPR compliance hasn't been a suggestion. If you use Google Analytics or run ads, a manual list isn't enough to stay protected. Instead, you should use a tool like CookieBot from Usercentrics to auto-scan blog scripts until consent is given and keep a digital paper trail of compliance. Check the link to CookieBot in the description below. So, lesson number 11, not having a cookie consent banner can get you fined. Lesson 12. If your blog has been around for more than a year, you definitely have a few winner posts. These posts need your attention because if they have started ranking, they're more powerful than anything new that you're writing. Lesson 12 is that updating old posts beats writing new ones, but you need to update them regularly. It doesn't mean just changing the year in the title or the publication date. It means checking that all information in the post is up to date. Lesson 13. With either Google or Pinterest traffic, there is a ceiling that I found in terms of traffic that a blog may reach, and then it just stagnates. It seems like they limit the traffic that they're willing to send to one particular domain. You might think, okay, I will grow my blog from 1,000 to 3,000 articles and I will 3x my income, but it doesn't always mean that your display ad income and your page views will grow at the same pace as you scale your site. Lesson 13 is display ads are not a business model that's easy to scale. So you need to also look at other ways to monetize, and this brings us to the next issue that bloggers face over time. I'll talk about them in lesson 14. Personally, I started making my first blogging income with affiliate marketing. It gave me that initial boost and confidence to push through until my blog's traffic was high enough to get accepted into premium display ad networks. But then, after a surge in affiliate commissions, I had a sudden drop that lasted for a few months. I realized that affiliate income can go up and down quite a lot, just like your display income. So lesson 14, affiliate income is unpredictable month to month, and you cannot rely on ads or affiliate links only. You also need to build your own products. Now, lesson 15. The real breakthrough in my business happened when I built my own digital product. It wasn't the first one that I tried, but it was the first digital product in the middle price range. It was my Pinterest marketing course. Around month 4 of selling it, I started making more money through the course than my blog was bringing through ad income. So lesson 15 is one digital product can replace all your ad income. If you create one medium or high-ticket digital product, the sky is the limit for your income growth. Lesson 16. I've seen so many people get stuck at the blog ideation stage. They spend months and sometimes more than a year thinking about it, but not actually writing anything for the blog because they always feel like they're not an expert enough. The reality is that myself and all the bloggers I know, we started by digging for information in the subject of our interest. And only while working on the blog, we became the real experts. So lesson 16, you don't need to be an expert to start. Lesson 17, as you work on your content, you will learn how to structure it and how to do SEO. All of the skills will come with experience or will be built while you're writing your first 50 posts. So lesson 17 is your first 50 posts will probably be terrible. Just accept the fact that your first 50 articles will likely need some updates in the future, but that's the way you learn. Lesson 18. A lot of bloggers think that they need to reach at least 100,000 page views to make some real money. That's if you can only think of display ads as your monetization method. But if you start selling your own products or even your services on the blog, you will see that you can live off your website if you have just hundreds of visitors and definitely not millions of page views. Lesson 18, you don't need millions of page views to make money. Lesson 19, Google keeps ranking well some of the old popular articles, but most websites don't update every piece of content regularly. Let me be honest. Even after writing thousands of posts for my blogs, I can only take care of updating the top ranking ones. I obviously cannot update every single article on my sites. So lesson 19, is that a ton of blogging advice online is outdated. And when you're trying to learn about blogging, you should use sources where you can verify that they have been recently published. YouTube is actually a good platform for this because you can see the publication date at the top of the video description. Moreover, these dates on YouTube cannot be changed by the creator later, so they're more accurate than the dates on articles and blogs. Lesson 20. Thousands of students went through my course on how to start a blog. And I've seen many cases where people were very inspired to get started, but then at around 6 months, they were ready to quit. Blogging is a slow burner. You need to work for months and sometimes over a year before you see a surge of traffic. So lesson 20 is that you will want to quit around month 6. Just be prepared to overcome that 6-month roadblock. It's a psychological thing, and it's easier to pass this moment if you have your other income source while building the blog. I was working full-time for a whole year while building the blog in my free time. Lesson 21. When you start a blog, you can run it on a shared hosting. That's a cheaper option, around $3 per month. But by the end of the first year, your traffic volume potentially could get high enough for your hosting provider to raise the prices. The price can become as high as other premium providers would charge you for better service. Lesson 21 is that cheap hosting costs more in the long run. So at the time when your traffic is high, consider switching to a hosting that might be more expensive, but you should pay attention to the rankings and to reviews that this host gets for the site speed. Lesson 22. I watched bloggers spend hours every day socializing on Pinterest, mass following in hopes to get some followers back, and they also participate in share-for-share groups that never actually move the needle on their traffic. But Pinterest doesn't care if you have 100 followers or 100,000 followers. It cares about keywords, metadata, and whether your pin solves a user's search query. It's a visual discovery engine, not a place to hang out and chat. So lesson 22 is that Pinterest is a search engine. Stop treating it like a social media and stop chasing vanity metrics like followers and likes on Pinterest. Instead, you should spend that time on high-level Pinterest SEO. Keyword-rich descriptions, clear text overlays on your pins, and organizing your boards into specific searchable categories. Lesson 23. I spent weeks trying my sidebar work and testing my site on the laptop, only to realize later that 85% of my website visitors were seeing a cluttered, broken mess on their phones. Google and Pinterest users are almost entirely on mobile. If your desktop version looks like a masterpiece, but your mobile version has intrusive pop-ups or tiny text, people leave your site too soon, and that's the majority of your audience. So lesson 23 is your site's mobile view is more important than the desktop version. So when you work on your site, stay in the mobile-first design mindset. Always preview your new posts and sales pages on your phone before hitting publish. And make sure that your font sizes are large enough to read without zooming. Lesson 24. When I started out, I used to waste weeks fixing one single post. I changed the colors, the fonts, and every sentence 10 times because I was afraid it wasn't perfect yet. While I was trying to be perfect, I was making $0. A good enough post that is online makes money. A perfect post sitting in your drafts makes nothing. So lesson 24 is perfect is the enemy of published. Don't waste your time. Set a timer. Write your post, check the basics, and hit publish. You can always come back and improve it later once it starts getting traffic. Lesson 25. People used to think SEO means to use a keyword 20 times in one post. It used to work years ago, but that kind of tactic is actually considered spammy these days. Google is smart. It doesn't count how many times you say a word. It checks if you actually answer the user's question. If a user clicks and leaves immediately, you lose your rankings. And this also applies to your pins on Pinterest, by the way. Lesson 25 is that user intent matters more than keyword density. So before you write, think, what does this person actually want? Stop stuffing keywords and start giving the best, clearest answer possible. Focus on being helpful, not on a keyword score. Those are 25 lessons that I've learned from publishing over 10,000 blog posts. But here's the thing, most of these mistakes happen because people set up their blog wrong from the start. The hosting, the theme, the tracking, the legal stuff, they skip it or they do it badly and then spend years trying to fix it. That's why I made this video right here where I show you exactly how I would build a blog from scratch today if I was starting over. I'll see you there.